Hey guys, today I want to talk about witchcraft in the occult. And this video is going to be similar to a video I did probably 10 years ago or even longer than 10 years ago. This is sort of like an updated version of that. So you can go back and search my YouTube channel and find that video and watch that also. But this is sort of like an updated version of that. I first got interested in the occult years ago, when I was a child. I've always been interested in the unusual. I started out being very young watching horror movies late night, and probably later. I stayed up later than what I was supposed to. I remember back in the 70s watching this one guy on TV called the Ghoul. Those of you who are from Michigan know who I'm talking about. He used to host horror movies late night on, I think it was either Friday or Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night here in Michigan. And I was just totally into this guy. And I loved him, and I loved the movies that he showed. One of the movies that I remember was The Screaming Skull and Psychomania. And Psychomania in particular, I love that movie. And Horror Express, he would show that a lot too. So that's how I really got interested in the occult, I believe, as a child, watching these movies. And later on, when I became older, you begin to see some of the philosophy or some of the things that were hinted at in these movies, especially a movie like Psychomania, where what's hinted at is immortality and a man's search for immortality, because that was sort of like the whole premise of the motorcycle gang that was in the movie Psychomania. They wanted to become immortal. Anyway, watching those movies when I was a child, as I said, had a profound influence on me. There was also another guy here in Michigan that had a big influence on me. That was Sir Grace Ghastly. And I think it was Saturday, I'm pretty sure it was Saturday, he would come on TV and he would rise up from a coffin like Bela Lugosi, and he would show movies, and he would show a lot of drawings that were done by kids of like Dracula, Frankenstein, and all of that. And it was just the coolest thing. So that had a big influence on me also. And then growing up and getting interested in music, there was this one program that was on a local station here in Michigan, WRIF, and it was called The Heroes of Rock and Roll. And the Heroes of Rock and Roll, they spotlighted Jimi Hendrix. So I remember saying to myself, hey, I got to find out who this Hendrix guy is, I've heard some of his music, and I really like it, So I remember staying up late, waiting for Jimi Hendrix, the episode of Jimi Hendrix to happen on the radio. Interesting thing is, before they went into Hendrix, they started talking about Janis Joplin. And I was like, wow, I really dig her too. Then let's talk about Jim Morrison. I really got interested in Jim Morrison. And then, of course, Hendrix. And all these guys, in one way or another, was influenced, by the occult. Janis Joplin was, she had an interest in astrology. Jim Morrison was a philosopher. He was a shaman. And of course, Jimi Hendrix was the voodoo child, So that sparked my interest too. And another thing that sparked my interest is blues guitar players. Now, this came a little bit later. Blues guitar players always fascinated me because they were always these older guys, and they would really dress really cool. At least I would, I think so. With these fedora hats that they would wear, and they would have these suits, and like Robert Johnson, and I really dug the way they dress, and I think that has an influence on how I dress today. So I wear a lot of the same hats that they wore, and even the suits that I wear, are very reminiscent of that. The whole idea of going to the crossroads and quote unquote selling your soul to the devil, so you can become a rock star. That's always had an interest for me, not necessarily selling my soul to the devil, but going to the crossroads and asking labor to open up the crossroads so that I can start a music career. That's something that's always been an interest to me, and that's something that I do practice, and that's why I have a big Marshall stack now. But that's another story. Another thing that got me interested in the occult, or kept my interest in the occult, was a movie that came out years ago, and it was called The Occult Experience. That movie had a profound effect on me. I've studied a lot of the people who are in that movie. I've actually met some of the people that was in that movie. And we're talking about Margot Adler. Who else was in there? Janet Farrar. Anton LaVey was in there. Michael Kino was in there. A lot of other people. I know I'm missing some people. Alexander Sanders was in there. So watching that movie, picking apart what they're trying to say in that movie, and going and buying some of the books, by some of these authors, that had a profound effect on how I viewed the craft back then and now. Then there was, the heavy metal that came out in the late 80s and 90s. There was a satanic panic that happened, and which had the opposite effect that I guess the media or society would like for it to have on me. Instead of that scaring me away from the occult, it kind of drew me more into the occult. It's like, they give me all this sensationalism, and it's like, well, I want to find out more about it, But, that kind of sums up how I got interested in the occult. Then later on, after studying with, some people, and, being a part of a coven for a while, and running an organization at Wayne State University called Full Moon Circle, I learned a lot from running that organization. As I mentioned in a couple other videos, it was to a point where we were doing rituals, full-blown rituals, every week, and you learn a lot when you do that, especially with other people. And I'm not talking about practicing by myself. I'm talking about doing it with other people. So I learned a hell of a lot running that organization. And that organization stayed around. Even when I left Wayne State University, that organization was still around for a while. I kept it going off campus. So, but then it got to a point where it's like, okay, I need to step back and do my own thing. So, it's not like I let it go, but I felt it was time for a change for me personally. But as I said, I learned a lot from running that organization. Other things that influenced me in the occult, music, heavy metal music. One of the artists that had a big influence on me was King Diamond. And the thing that I appreciated about King Diamond is he was a real thing. When he sung about the occult and ghosts and, and things that go bump in the night or whatever, these are things that he's experienced himself, And where a lot of heavy metal artists back in the day was saying, oh yeah, we sing about the devil or, the occult, but, we really don't have anything to do with it. And I'm thinking about Black Sabbath in particular, when they were asking Ozzy about this, he would say, "Oh, I'm part of the Church of England." And it's like, okay, whatever. They would ask King Diamond, these questions, and he would say, "Hey, I'm a Satanist." He was the real deal. He didn't backtrack or backpedal, about that at all. So I definitely have the highest respect for King Diamond. And last time he was here in Michigan, last couple of times he was here in Michigan, I was there at the show. So, and I got to shake his hand, so that's really cool. People like King Diamond, Danzig, uh, you know, Marilyn Manson, a host of other people. They kind of piqued my interest in the occult also. And, King Diamond and Marilyn Manson, well, no, Marilyn Manson at one time was a member of the Church of Satan. He was, I think, an honorary member of the Church of Satan. And King Diamond um, was, and I believe still is, a member of the Church of Satan. So King Diamond's a real thing. Marilyn Manson, I hear conflicting views. I do like his music. I don't know. I don't think he's really a Satanist or anything like that. But I do like his music, and apparently Anton LaVey, took a liking to him. So, and I can see that. What else? Trying to think. Attending Convocation here in Michigan, that had a big influence on me. Convocation is sort of like it happens once a year, and basically everyone in the magical community comes out. There's a lot of vendors. There's a lot of workshops and rituals, and it's on a 3-day, actually 4 days. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That happens usually in February here in Michigan, and I've learned a lot from attending that event. And I've been attending Convocation for over 20 years. Excuse me. So it's quite a long time. And then there's Pagan Fest here in Michigan, so I've attended that. There's Conjure Fest here in Michigan. I've attended Conjure Fest when that's happened. I think the only event that I haven't attended yet was the Witches Ball, so I do plan on attending that in the future. But yeah, that is sort of like a breakdown of how I got involved in the occult. It started as a young child watching horror movies, and then later on trying to dissect those movies, why I found those movies, so intriguing. And then the interesting thing is that when I was at college, there was a guy who invited me to, I don't want to say the Moonies, but it was an organization associated with the one guy. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who started that movement. And I remember going to his lectures and thinking, okay, this guy is it's okay. It's not really my thing, but I like listening to him, and maybe I could pick up on part of that philosophy. But later on, I would say a couple of weeks later, after attending that organization's meetings, a guy came up to me, and he was basically trying to, I don't know, convert me or trying to get me interested in what they were saying. And I'm listening to him, and it's like, I don't want to join your organization, but one of the things I do like is you guys have a coherent philosophy, and this is something that I am interested in applying to myself. And then shortly after, this all happened when I was at Wayne State University. Shortly after, I met a guy, and the original person who ran Full Moon Circle at Wayne State University. I met him, started hanging out with him, and I was like, this religion or spirituality or spiritual movement that you're part of, I want to be a part of. So I became very interested into that and studying that, and then I became a witch. Formally became a witch. I believe I've been a witch all my life, but I started actually calling myself that. And to me, witchcraft is basically a nature-based religion. Um, I view it from a pantheistic point of view. God is another word for nature, or God and Goddess is another form of nature. And it's not so much that we worship nature, we live in harmony with nature. We give homage to nature. We see the sun as one of the most important objects in the sky. And it is, because if it wasn't for the sun, we wouldn't have sunlight. You wouldn't be able to watch this video if it wasn't for the sun and the energy that the sun gives the earth. If the sun all of a sudden decides not to shine, not to rise, we'd be done for. So the sun is very, 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 very important. The moon also, because the cycles of the moon are associated with women, and their menstrual cycles. So as far as the craft is concerned, it's very nature-based. That's how I view it. And it's all about living in harmony and paying reverence to the regenerative forces of nature, which is both male and female, and they're intertwined. And it's all about living in harmony with that. One of the things I tell people is like, I don't worship a tree. I respect the tree and what the tree does. The tree gives off air. Photosynthesis. It's a very important part of life here on planet Earth. So that's how I view it. And I've been a witch for probably, I would say, since probably over 30 years. And yes, I'm older than what I look. But I learned so much from studying with different people. When I was at Henry Ford Community College, I just remember, picking up that first book on witchcraft and being so intrigued by it. And I wish I knew the name of that book. I don't know the name of it, but I just remember reading about Diana and how she's associated with the moon, and about witches and what they did back in the early days, and being really highly influenced by that book. Another book that I was highly influenced by, and I do remember the title of this book, and it was called Mastering Witchcraft by Paul Hussain. That was a game changer. And one of the things I liked about that book is it wasn't a fluffy bunny book about witchcraft. It presented it more organically, and it didn't make any apologies. And one of the things it was criticized for, wrongfully criticized for, is the fact that in the book there's a passage of saying the Lord's Prayer backwards. Some people had a problem with that. I didn't, because hey, I'm not a Christian. I left Christianity 30 plus years ago, so why should I have a problem with that? But yeah, that book had a profound influence on me. Also, the books by Anton LaVey, the Satanic Bible, the Satanic Rituals, had an influence on me. And one of the things I liked about the Satanic Bible is it's not a book, it's not necessarily an occult book. I view it more as a philosophy. And that's one of the things I liked about it. And it's more psychological than any of the other books that I was reading at the time. So I was like, this is philosophy, and this is psychological reasoning, rational self-interest. And that is something I really, really respected out of his books, all of his books. He has more books than just those two, by the way. Anyway, that is how I got involved in the occult. And maybe years from now, I'll make another video similar to this video and similar to the video I did a while back, with even more detail on how I got involved in the occult, and go into that. Like I said, started off when I was a kid watching the Ghoul on Channel 56 here in Michigan, watching Sir Graves Ghastly, watching movies like Horror Express, watching movies like Psychomania, watching documentaries like The Occult Experience, and actually meeting some of those witches that was in that movie, and studying with those witches, and studying with or attending rituals with some of the people in that movie. Like I said, it had a profound effect on who I am today. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a bit of background who I am, and the reason why I put this channel together and my website is to sort of like share this knowledge with you. It is sort of to share my knowledge with you. Take what you will from things I talk about in these videos and the things that are on my website at merlinravensong.com. I have some witchcraft stuff on there. I have pagan stuff on there. I have links to organizations that have a high degree of respect for. Some of it's witchcraft, some of it's not witchcraft. Some of it's just interest that I have. I have a lot of links to bands that I really like. So it's not just, my website isn't just the occult. It's other things too. Alright, so go to my website. I do have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/MerlinRavensong. I believe that's it. Go there. It's only $5 a month. So if you're interested in helping me maintain this channel, helping me maintain my website, helping me in my music career, it's only $5 a month. Hey, I would highly appreciate it. Alright, until next time, love is law. Peace. Live long and prosper. Gasaneb, and peace again.